Hi scholars, welcome back. It's Miss Armstrong. Today our objective is to use warm and cool colors to create emphasis and contrast in our artwork. That's a lot. So we're gonna back it up and review our colors and a little bit about warm and cool colors, and then I'm going to teach you about emphasis and contrast. That way we feel really good going into the drawing about what those things are and how we can use them. The reason we're going to learn about emphasis and contrast and review warm and cool colors is because we want to learn how to create artwork that's very interesting and exciting, and these two things will help us do that. So let's get started. To review, we have our colors: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. That's our color wheel. We also know, we've learned this many times, that complementary colors are on the color wheel across from one another. So the complement to red is green. What would be the complement to blue? Right, it would be orange. And the way we found it was we looked across the color wheel. What would be the complement to yellow? Purple is the complementary color to yellow. So green and red, orange and blue, and purple and yellow. Kind of like the Lakers, purple and gold. The next thing we want to talk about, which I mentioned at the beginning, were warm and cool colors. So as a reminder, warm colors make us feel like really warm when we look at them, and they're kind of bright. Cool colors make us feel a little bit colder when we look at them, and they kind of fade into the background a little bit more. So just a reminder, our warm colors are red, orange, yellow, sometimes pink, and sometimes some warm browns. Brown can also be a cool color if it's a little bit of a darker brown. Our cool colors are purple, blue, green, black, and gray. And they make us feel cool when we look at them. So if we wanted to make opposites, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, you have your warm and cool colors. That was a lot. I will make sure to post pictures of all of these on the PowerPoint, so if you need to use them, you can always go back and use them. Okay, here we go. Now we're going to talk about contrast here. Contrast is the arrangement of opposite elements to create visual interest, excitement, and drama. So I drew a little picture at the bottom, an example of contrast. Contrast is basically opposites. So if you want to make your artwork interesting, exciting, and dramatic, you might want to add warm and cool colors and put them side by side to make it interesting. I put some other examples on the side here. Other examples of opposites are light and dark. So if you drew something really light and really dark, and then light and dark and light and dark, it would kind of look like exciting. Rough and smooth. So when I say rough and smooth, I'm talking about what? Texture. So you can take a look at our textures. If you have this smooth texture right next to maybe this really scaly texture, that's gonna look interesting. The opposites are gonna make each other pop out and make it interesting. So I'll post a picture of our textures worksheet so you can use this as an example. The next one says large and small. You can use large and small shapes to create contrast, which is what I did in this little mini drawing. So I used warm colors to create large shapes with lots of stripes and polka dots in them. And then I used small shapes. I used the cool colors to create the small shapes to make it interesting and different. So that's how we use contrast in our artwork. We're also going to talk about emphasis a little bit. Emphasis is an area or object within the artwork that draws attention and becomes a focal point. A focal point is where our focus points to when we look at something. So if you were to close your eyes and open them and look at this artwork, where does your eye go straight to? Right to that green tomato, right? So all of the other tomatoes are pretty much the same. And then the focal point where we focus on is something that stands out. So you can also use opposites to make something stand out. In this drawing, what kind of colors did this artist use to make the colors stand out? Complementary colors, right? red and green are across from each other on the color wheel, and they use complementary colors to make this artwork interesting. And it stands out because they emphasized or made this tomato the emphasis of the drawing. So we have contrast, which is using opposites to make your artwork interesting and different. And we have emphasis, which gives a focal point and makes something in your artwork stand out or pop out. So we can do that by using different colors, different textures, different shapes, different lines. I will post all of these pictures, all of these worksheets on the PowerPoint so you can use them. I also have our lines worksheet. So if you wanted like a more peaceful and calm line, you might choose what? Maybe like a straight line or a wavy line. If you wanted like a crazy picture or a really wild picture, what kind of line might you choose? Maybe like the zigzag is kind of crazy, or the swirls, or maybe even the scribbly lines. So we can create contrast by finding opposites. Let's do that now. Head to the next video and we're gonna talk about how we can use warm and cool colors and contrast and emphasis to make our drawings really interesting. See you at the next video.